A book can take you anywhere. Turn the pages and you'll be there. Come on, join us, you'll see. We're reading with Carrie Lee.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Read with Carolee show at home. Today we have a very special guest. She is, I would say, my publishing sister. We actually self-publish out of the same publishing house, and I am so happy. I'm so grateful to have her here. She was actually one of the inspirations for, what you see in front of you here. So I am so happy to welcome Miss Sheri Fink here with us on the Read with Carolee show. Hi, Sheri.
I am so happy to be here today.
Well, we are so glad that you're able to join us. And as we've been telling our audience, being that we are under quarantine still in some states, we have taken this platform to be able to share other authors from across the country and around the globe. And Miss Sheri Fink is joining us today from California. Can you tell us where in California you're joining us from?
Sure, I am in sunny Los Angeles.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, we are getting some sun here today, thankfully. And we're so glad for you to come and read The Little Dragon. Now, this is definitely a story that will help children to deal with some things, especially in this time. So I would love to get into the story. So take it away, Miss Sheri Fink.
Wonderful. The Little Dragon. In a whimsical land beyond the sparkling sea lived a happy-go-lucky little dragon. He spent his days in the meadow watching the carefree clouds drift by. At night, he loved sleeping in his comfy cave and dreaming under the starry sky. The little dragon treasured time on his own, exploring, thinking, and most of all, dancing. One day, while he was in the middle of a particularly expressive dance among the daisies, he was startled to discover that he wasn't alone. Someone was watching and giggling while hiding behind a tree at the edge of the meadow. The little dragon felt scared and embarrassed. He immediately stopped and froze in place, wondering who or what was watching him and how long they'd been there. Panicked, the little dragon sensed something hot and horrible rumble in his belly. It rolled up through his chest, throat, and face. It was monstrous and overtook him as he thought about how ridiculous he must have looked dancing around and how unfair it was not to know someone was there. His chest and face inflamed. It felt like a giant balloon was about to explode from the inside. The heat burned his eyes and nose. He opened his mouth to gasp for air, and a big curl of fire blazed out along with a mighty roar. The giggling stopped. Through the eerie silence, he could hear his heart pounding. The little dragon had never experienced this sensation before. What had just happened? He looked up and saw that he had scorched the side of a beautiful tree. He loved the flower-filled meadow. What if his angry burst of fire had burned it all away? Feeling shocked and ashamed, the little dragon ran home and curled up in his cave. He flopped down onto his cozy cushion and wrapped his long, scaly tail around himself, covering his face. What should I do? He wondered. Should I hide in this cave forever? Maybe I could move to a land far away where no one will laugh at me. But what if I leave and someone ruins my special meadow? He couldn't stand the thought of something happening to his happy place. Feeling the need to protect it, he devised a plan. He asked the birds if they'd seen anyone in the area. They all told him the same thing, that it was a dragon. He didn't know exactly what that was, but he was going to make sure that his meadow was kept safe. That night, the little dragon stayed up late, gathering broken tree branches from the forest and creating signs. He painstakingly posted them the next morning. From now on, anyone who happened to find his meadow would know that there were no dragons allowed. He felt very satisfied knowing that his meadow was secure. Before bed, the little dragon celebrated with a bubble bath and imagined blowing his troubles into the bubbles and watching them float away. He could hardly wait to get to the meadow the next morning. The sun was shining so brightly that the flowers looked as if they were glowing. The little dragon sashayed through the snapdragons and twirled amongst the tulips until he heard it. Giggling! It seemed to be coming from behind the same tree as before. Oh no, thought the little dragon. Feeling the same growling sensation start inside his stomach, he decided to take a deep breath. After all, the signs clearly said no dragons allowed. Then he had a new worry. What if dragons can't read and barge into my meadow? Hey, he heard a voice calling to him from the meadow's edge. He saw a shadowed figure peek her head out from behind the tree. The girl giggled as she sauntered toward him, revealing her long snout, little wings, and scaly back and tail. Can't you see that no dragons are allowed in this meadow? She asked with a smile. The little dragon regained his composure and responded, That's right, so go away. But you're a dragon too, she whispered to him. The little dragon slowly stepped toward her to get a better look. He stared at her features and then examined his own in disbelief. He felt his cheeks flush. She was right. They did look very similar. Suddenly, he felt silly for putting up the signs. She seemed very nice, like someone who might enjoy dancing with him in the meadow. Maybe dragons weren't so bad after all. I'm sorry for making you feel unwelcome. Would you like to dance? He asked hopefully. I'd love to, she replied. He grinned sheepishly and began knocking down the signs with his powerful tail. She stepped forward and they started dancing. He felt the tickle of the grass and flowers as they pranced amongst the pansies together. The birds flying over the meadow chirped in jubilation. The little dragon couldn't remember why he had felt so angry before. At first, he was nervous to share his favorite place, but he discovered that the meadow was more fun with a friend. She even taught him to control his fire so he could do useful things with it. News about their dragon dance parties spread throughout the land, and more creatures came to join in the celebration. The little dragon was the happiest he'd ever been. Every night, he and his new friends danced in the moonlight. They laughed as they told stories and enjoyed freshly toasted s'mores. They lived and danced happily ever after. And just like the little dragon, you can choose to feel your feelings and to make positive changes. Everyone has emotions, and we can learn to express them in a healthy way. Sharing things that bring you joy and behaving respectfully toward others can help build friendships. Life is more fun when shared with friends. The end.
That is, definitely a book that is great for little kids in learning how to, express themselves and with anxiety that they may have, especially now, they may not be able to play with their friends, so they need to find a way to go ahead and express themselves to their families. And I know, especially with my little boys, sometimes it's not always easy for them to say, well, mommy, I'm angry about something, or
Mhm.
so this is definitely a great book. So what inspired you to write this particular book?
Well, I think as a creative, as most creatives are, I have big feelings, and
Yes.
I've always been that way. And I know now that that's one of our superpowers as creative people, but I
Yes.
didn't always embrace it, And I thought, well, kids are going through this struggle too. And what if I could write a book that made it okay for them to feel those emotions and to learn that it's okay to express them, and you can actually build bridges instead of building walls, right?
Yes.
So I
Wow.
wanted to kind of like boil all of those big themes down into a
Mhm.
story that kids could see themselves through the eyes of a little dragon, and say, oh, you know what? Sometimes my cheeks get flushed and I feel that rumble and I get
Yeah.
angry, and I don't want to burn the meadow down either.
Mhm. Yeah, that's very good. And so I love that you wrote it for little kids, because, I think even now we have adults that don't know how to handle those big feelings. So
It's
giving,
hard. Being a
yeah,
youth is hard.
yeah.
Of any
So
age.
giving that tool to little children now, that's very important. And I see you have other books around you, and I know about your Whimsical World, but could you tell our audience about the Whimsical World of Sheri Fink?
Sure. Oh, I'm so happy to. So, Whimsical World is a brand that's dedicated to inspiring, delighting, and educating children of all ages while planting seeds of self esteem and high achievement. And it was founded by me and my husband, Derek Taylor Kent, who's also a children's author.
Yes.
And so everything that we do is aligned with our vision. And my first book was The Little Rose.
Mhm.
And this one just really kicked it off for me. I guess it came out 9 years ago.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, almost 10, yeah, just turned nine. And it really showed me what was possible, like when you have a heart for helping children and you're brave and you take action every day in the direction of that dream, eventually that dream will come true.
That is definitely, something that our children do need, and being able to create this world with all these characters around you. So Little Rose was your first book, and I know The Little Dragon is your latest book. So
Mhm.
how many books do you have in your whimsical world right now?
So I have 9 that I've written,
Uh-huh.
and my husband has, I think it's 13 or 14 now. We're
Wow.
both very dedicated to this cause, and
Yes.
very creative and prolific and excited to just create. Yeah.
Well, we're going to have him on. If you could pass
Absolutely.
along a word, Sherry. Yes. So, and of course, the main question that we ask all our authors: what book inspired you growing up?
Okay, so I have a cherished book here. This is
Oh,
Leo
wow.
the Lop. It's written by Stephen Cosgrove.
Okay.
He has a whole series that are called the Serendipity series,
Okay.
and they're always about animals or magical creatures, and they have a moral. So this one is about a little flop-eared rabbit. He's a
Uh-huh.
lop-eared bunny. He's got the long ears, and everybody else has short ears. And so
Okay.
he wants to be a short-eared rabbit so badly that he will do all kinds of things to blend in with them, when all of them just keep saying, but you're a flop-eared rabbit, like enjoy that, like
Uh-huh.
you're Leo the Lop. And so the whole, like it even says here, the moral of the story is normal is whatever I am and whoever you are. So
Okay.
I loved
That
it.
is wonderful.
My mom checked it out from the library and she would read it to me, and
Oh,
yeah, I love it.
okay. Well, we thank you and your husband for your dedication in writing children's books. And I thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, even before we um, have written, being able to write to each other. You have been such an inspiration coming out of Archway Publishing, and being able to know you and being able to have you on is such a joy. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you. So, as we are still quarantined in some ways, we thank you for joining us here, as always, at the Read with Carolee show. Remember to always grab a book and read.
We're reading with Carolee.
Thanks for watching another amazing episode of the Read with Carolee show. We have amazing authors coming by every week. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe below. You don't want to miss a thing.